Rechava, it has to be wide enough. Kedei lekabel ariach, to accept a brick, and the brick is a tefach and a half wide. Ariach chatzi leveina, as it explains here, ariach is chatzi leveina. It's a half a brick. A half a brick which shows shlosha tefachim. It's a half of a 3 tefach brick, meaning it itself is 1/2 tefach. Dai lekora, and in order to accept that, it's sufficient for the korah lios. Shetei rechava tefach. It's sufficient to be the breadth of a tefach. Kedei lekabel ariach l'orko, in order to receive the length of the ariach, and only that is on picture ches. If you see picture ches, that gives you an idea of what it looks like. Okay, so current tefach has to be a tefach wide in order to accept an ariach, which is a tefach and a half wide. Is that clear? Okay. Says Gemara, Amar Rabbi Ba, Kedei lekabel of the several messed up your souls tonight. Amar Rabbi Ba, Kedei lekabel of dimus shel archin, it should be l'rochbon. It should be the korah should be enough to accept a row of archin of these bricks widthwise. Now widthwise means that it has to hold, I think that's picture number 10, has to hold 3 tfach, right? It has to be 3 tfachim wide in order to accept it widthwise. Okay, you see that? That was the width of the brick is across of it. So now, if that's the case, just so to preempt the Gemara later on, assuming that a regular mobile is 10 amos across, how many of these bricks can you put across? Each one is a tefach and a half wide, right? So, how many tefachim are there in Amma? How many handbreadths are there in Amma? 6. So how many bricks are there in an Amma?
Rashi says, and
1.5 into 6.
What is 1.5 Amma?
1.5 tefachim. And there's 6 tefachim in it. 4 bricks in a tefach. 4 bricks in an Amma, excuse me. So how many bricks would you have going across? 10 Amos. How many bricks? Not how many tefachim? 10 Amos, right? 40. Okay, now do it the other way. Suppose the brick is placed like it is in picture number ches, which means that there are 3 tefachim across, right? So 3 tefachim across. So then, how many bricks do you have in each amma? 2. Across the entire span, how many do you have? 20. Okay, that's what Mar's about to say. That's all. Says Gemara, Tanya Rishim Gamli Omer Kedei lekabel of dimush orchin. And here it should be l'orkon. He goes by the length, not the width. Mabineh, what's the difference between the two opinions? Rabbi Shin said, never heard that name before, at least not that I remember. Rabbi Shin brius b'name. How strong the korah has to be, because if it holds 40, that's twice as much as 20, and it's got to be strong enough to support 40. It's got to support 40 bricks.
They actually want the bricks on there?
No.
It's only capable.
It's got to be capable of supporting them. Well, it's be capable enough to support them. It only has to have half the strength, enough to support not 10, not a sorta, but esrin, 20. It's a typo. Esrin archi. Okay? Now, period. New case. Shtei koros. Bezu chatitev, bezu chatitev. We have 2 koros. Across the top of your marble. One is half a tefach wide and the other is half a tefach wide. How much can there be between these 2 koros? Right? The sum total width of a korah is the full tefach. Here you have 2 koros, each of which is half a tefach. How much can be between the 2 of them? Reb Zirmer chatzi tefach, you can have half a tefach between. Says the Gemara, they're almost reiterating. It is reiterating. What is the difference between the maximum amount of difference you can have between the 2 chatzoi tefachim, the 2 halves of a tefach? Says the Gemara, v'chatzi tefach half a tefach in the middle. Tan Rabbi Yeshi argues, this is the chiddush. He says up to a tefach. You have a tefach between the two of them. Now, Shiloh is really Shiloh on how you work Oimei Ruba al Aparutz. You have more standing structure than open space, right? So the open space is the tefach, right? The standing structure is... I'm sorry. The standing structure is the tefach. The question is how much open space can you have between that? Can you have a full tefach because the standing space is a tefach altogether? Or since each beam is a half a tefach, so the space in the middle can be no larger than the size of each beam, which is half a tefach. That's the machlokas. Do we go by each beam, or do we go by the sum total of both beams together? Okay?
But the main question is whether you can combine the two beams.
Right. Whether you combine two beams. Exactly. And that's what that's machlokas here, whether they can have a tefach in the middle, only half a tefach. I think we can have full tefach, but I don't remember. Now, similarly, if you have two koros, bezu shlish v'goshu, one is 33 and a third, bezu shlish v'goshu, and this is almost 33 and a third, of 33 and a third percent of a tefach, and the other is 33 and a third percent of a tefach, it has to be slightly more. And between them is slightly less than 33 and a third, so that works as well. Because the two omates cancel the paruts, right? The paruts is just like, is slightly less than either one of them, right? And therefore the two omni on either side cancel the one in the middle. Okay? Yeva, we learned this, like Rabbi Yochanan said, this is a case of Chad and Shabbos, where you have to make up 4x4 tefachim, and the 4x4 tefachim you have to make up are part built up and part not built up. So the built up part, which is merubah, is mitzdaref, goes together with the open part, which is parts, in order to make up the shiur 4x4 tefachim, in order to make Rishus HaYachid. So here too we see a similar concept. Okay? Shtei koros, we just said. Koros sheyotzim mikoisel zu, ve'eno gas b'koisel shen. You have a koisel coming out of one wall, and it doesn't touch the second wall, right? Oh, shayu shtayim, where there were two koros, zu keneged zu, one opposite the other. Im yesh ben zu shlosha tvachim, between the two koros you have 3 tvachim, no, it's more than 3 tvachim, so it's no lavud. Tzorech korah, you need to put another korah there. Milav, if not, ain't tzorech korah. If not, you don't need another korah, because since they're within 3 tvachim, so we say what halachic principle? What? What halachic principle? They're within 3 tvachim. Love it. Oh, I didn't hear you say.
No, you said it 2 minutes ago. I didn't think you were asking the same question.
Oh, okay. So, sorry. Milav, no, I was. Some of my questions are easy. They're not all trick questions. So, Milav ain't tzorech korah, or another korah. Is, turn the page. Is Tani, those who learn, Is Tani, those who learn Arba, that you can say love it up to 4 tefachim. In fact, we've had the shita in the Bavli. Manam Arshal, she said you say love it up to 3, because they have them the amount of place on which a person can squeeze through. A person can squeeze through an aperture of 3 tefachim. So that's considered to be lavud. I don't recall ever seeing that far in the Bavli.
We had about a little goat squeezing.
Oh, it's true. We had a goat, right? And here it's saying even a person can squeeze through. I guess in Eretz Yisrael they were smaller than in Bavel. It's a good point, because in Vilna Kadeshi's Dakar Akdiva, that's Rosh. Right, the goat, that's right. Very good. Okay, so this is interesting that here it goes by human beings. Madamar Abba, he says that it's a 4th volume, Day Malcolm, because 4th volume shiur of a place all over. Koresh Rosh Echel Malam Yesrim. I don't think you have a picture of this. You have no. There's Korah, which one side of which is above 20 amos. Yeah. No, it's not in there.
I'll draw it.
No, I don't think we did. I mean, the principle's logical, but I don't know if we had this precise case.
They'll be protected by his foot.
Here's your mavli, right? And here's your korah at the front. Here's the korah begins here, and here the korah continues across. It's on an angle, see? And 20 amos, that's the line of 20 amos.
kosher, who will protect them?
So we see it as if we do cut off the Korah over here,
Was that eight who was the...
because that's what goes over 20 amos. And if this area between here and here is less than 3 tefachim, then the Korah is kosher. Why? Because there's not enough. That's if it comes in 3 tefachim, the wall, it's already connected. If this area is more than 3 tefachim, so then that severs this part of the Korah from the wall, and the mobi is not fixed. Okay? Has to be within. Has to be Korah has to stretch from side to side within 20 amos, or that it ends within its part below 20 amos ends within 3 tefachim of the opposite wall.
What about a sukkah with a slanted the same way? Some of it is above 20 and...
Same idea. It would have to be the same idea. Well, all the schach above 20 amos is possible.
Oh, this one.
So you couldn't sit there anyway. It's not a no, but where you'd have a sukkah that high, so all the schach above 20 amos is possible. So you wouldn't be allowed to sit under here. You'd be allowed to carry under this part because you have the core over here, but they wouldn't be allowed to carry under the sloped part of the sukkah. Eat on the sloped part of the sukkah. Says a lot further. Again, Koresh Rosh Echel Mesim, part of it's above 20 amos. Rosh Echel Matam Mesim, part of it's low 20 amos. Roin She'il Yogud B'toch Shlosha Tvachim. We look at it if you would cut it off within 3 Tvachim of the wall. Be nearest B'toch Esim Am, and there would be within 20 amos of the ground. Mutter Tzmisubli in Lav, and if not, also is forbidden.
Is that a raya that a core is mechitza, not a hecker?
I don't know.
Because it's above.
Well, it's not a definitive raya, because it'll still be a hacker, and it's only a hacker if you can notice it.
When it's too high to notice.
It's too hard to notice it. It can be a mechitza, and it's not a mechitza below 20. It can be a hacker because you don't notice it below 20. So I think it'll work either way. Now, what about the opposite case? If this is not 20 amos, but 10 tefachim, so the part which is no good is this part over here, which goes below 10 tefachim, right? Above 10 tefachim is good. It's this part which is no good. Okay? So the same idea, though. We look at it if you would chop it in 3 of the ground, the nearest, and it would look, and it would still be, it's a typo, it should be l'malam yisar tvachim. In other words, if within 3 tvachim of the wall, you still have above 10 tvachim, so then I say love would across here. And that works. Okay? Mutter bin lav aser. Is that clear?
I say that I spaced out.
Yeah, Mr. Zuger. If you have this case, the case where this part of the Korah descends below the minimum shiur. The minimum shiur is 10 tvachim. This part descends below. So we look, if this section over here is within 3 tvachim of the wall, so it's still kosher. Why? Because you have, it's as if it reaches the wall at the height of 10 tvachim. If there's more than that distance between the wall and the place on the dot line where it goes below 10 tefachim, and then you have to come onto this, which is possible because below the 10 tefachim, so then the Korah is no good. Same guiding principles we have by 20 amos, right? Okay. Ashkech Tani. No, we're not there yet. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Shtei koros. That's for the beginning of the line. Shtei koros ulam mizu. You have 2 koros, one above the other. Now, neither of them is a shiur, right? Let's say each one is half a tefach, but if you combine them together, then they'd have the shiur. So, rowing satonakil yumal, and you see the lower one as if it comes up. V'yon, and the top one. Kilu Lamata as if it comes down. As long as the top one is not higher than 20 amos, the lower one lower than 10 tvachim. Ashkech Tani, we found that it says Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda's B'shita Soaviv. Oh, wait. Ashkech Tani, the higher one, in other words, you have two. Okay, you have one korah over here and one korah over here. Okay, this one hits over here. This one hits over here.
What's the height of the
So that's the thing. Rabbi Yossi says the higher korah has to be within 20 amos of the ground. This one cannot be more than 20 amos off the ground, the higher one. Is that clear? That's the ground? No, that's the point the Gemara is making. Because what Rabbi Yossi was whose son? It says in Gemara. What? It says here. Rabbi Yehuda. What did Rabbi Yehuda hold in the first Mishnah in the Masechta?
It could be
It could be higher. That's what he's emphasizing. Okay, when he says the principle, when Rabbi Yossi says that the top one has to be within 20 amos is going against his father.
so another example where the children are more machmir.
That's right. So he.
No interference, I don't think kids know.
Well, in this case, don't go like that because we don't pass them like Rabbi Yehuda in this case. Here, right the tachtona kilo yilamalon. We see the bottom when we pull it up. Push the top one down. Vachlo tel yera l'malam esrei amos, as long as the top one is not above 20 amos. V'atachtona, and the lower one is not l'mata mesor tfachim below 10 tfachim. Ashkachtani, so we find here that it's stated Rabbi Yossi Yehuda b'shitas avi. The Rabbi Yossi Ashkachtani Rabbi Yossi Yehuda b'shitas avi. Rabbi Yehuda, this is the same one brayso according to the line of reasoning of his father. V'chol avi is arguing on his father as well. B'shitas avi v'amar. He followed the sheet of his father, who said to Amar Roy Sefton Akilu Mal v'Yena Kilu Mata. That we look at the top one as if it's raised, and lower one. Look at the top one as if it's lowered, and the bottom one as if it's raised, in order to to make them mitzvah to each other, in order to join them together, right? The Chalkah argues as far as another respect. He says the top one can't be higher than 20 amos, but the bottom one below 10 fachim. In Tamar B'shita Savivu, if you're going to say he's going to his father, I feel Mala Mekam, or even if it's many amos above 20, it still works, right? Rabbi Yossi Chanina B'Shem Bar Shelmia, Rabbi Yehuda Chanina Bar Shelmia B'Shem Rav said, "V'ushet el Yodim B'Soch Shlosha Tvachim L'Tachdor." A big monkey wrench. He holds the upper one has to be within 3 Tvachim of the lower one. So if we look at a cutaway view of the self-same Mavli, right? There's a cutaway view. So this one's got to be, the top one, top korah's got to be within 3 tvachim of the bottom korah. Okay? Otherwise it does not mitzvah. In other words, if you had this one down here and that one up there, it wouldn't work.
Well, it sounds like Lobot. I mean,
yeah, it is similar to Lobot. Okay? Unless it's within 3. But I don't think we pass away. I think we pass even if it's more. Yeah, see, the carbonator wants to make it work out with the Bavli. So he says this is only true, although it's Yerushalmi itself doesn't indicate this. He says this is only true of these, neither of these is a tefach. Because if each one is a tefach, no. If each one is tefach, even though here each one itself might be enough, but in sukkah, for example, when you have one level of sukkah, this is amazing how look, which people are not familiar with about sukkah. Let's say you have a sukkah which looks like this. That's the schach. So actually you have chamos and meruba, it looks like you have more sun than shade. Because there's so many open spaces, it's still good. Because I say chavot, rami. Push these down, it's chavot, and push these up, rami, and they combine together. But that's the Korban is pointing out that that's only if each one of these is a tefach. So then I say they combine together, no matter how low or how high they are. In other words, it could be like this, and it'll work too. But but he says here by the case of Eruvin. So we're talking about that which we say it has to be within 3 tefachim is only where it's less than a tefach. Where each one's less than a tefach, then has to be within 3 tefachim. If it's just more than a tefach, then be more than 3 tefachim away. Okay? Because I say chavot rami, even at great distances. I can say that about
That gives it non-monstrous.
right significance, and therefore you can join them together that way. Okay, says the Mishnah, Rechava Kedei L'Kabel Ariach, it has to be wide enough to accept the break, and Tanakama holds a Briach Kedei L'Kabel Ariach, it's got to be strong enough to accept the break. It can't just be a piece of paper. Rabbi Yehuda Rechava, it's got no, then not for a Korah, only for Tzuras Pesach. This is Korah. Hey, there's no sidepost here necessarily. Rabbi Yehuda Rechava Ava B'Shein Abriya, as long as it's wide, even if it's not it's strong enough to hold, as long as it's wide enough, that's sufficient. So you can use something wide, even if it's weak. Tanya Rabbi Shimon Omer, Rabbi Shimon says, B'Riya Ava B'Shein Rechava. He said he had a third shita. It doesn't even have to be wide enough, as long as it's strong enough. In other words, like it's a metal rod. So you have all three shitas. One is that it's got to be wide and strong. The other just has to be wide, even if it's not strong. And here we have a shita that even if it's strong, as long as it's strong, even if it's not wide. Okay? Rav Huna B'Shem Rav said, "Elo Krei Meir, Elo Zaganei." It's a Tanakana Mishnah who says that it's got to be wide and thick, both together. Okay? Shmuel Amar Elo Krei Yehuda, who said the wide, even if it's not thick. Shmuel Levi Amar Elo Krei B'Shimon, even if it's thick, as long as it's thick, even if it's not wide. So everyone says very interesting thing. Amar B'Shem Bar Kasna, we came to the tema Aloha Kadein, since to those who say Aloha is like this guy and Aloha is like that guy, Elu Velu, right? These are those who word of the living God. He has like the one opinion, he doesn't have to worry that he's going to Gehenna as a result. The other does, somebody who does like the other opinion, Lo Chashash, doesn't have to be worried about burning as a result as well.
How often in the Bible have we ever seen this?
Probably very rarely. It doesn't seem absolutely unfamiliar to me, but because we did have by Beisil and Beishamai. Yerushalmi, the Bible said you can follow either the Chumras of both, the Chumra and Kulas of both. No, Chumra and Kula of one, or the Chumra and Kula of the other, but not the Chumras of both, nor the Kulas of both. That's a similar statement, but you're right, it's not exactly the same. Okay. Raimona argues. He argues. He says, Kevan, Mikem Ditim Alok Rabbanan, it's the Ritz opinion says the person like Rabbanan, which is Shita made, and they both are wide and strong. Shavkin Liyachiv Avid Rabbanan. We forsake the other Shitas which are enunciated by solitary Chachamim, and we go like that which the rabbis said. Okay? Rav also Chad Asar. Interesting case. Rav went to a certain city. Chama Chad Mavli. He saw a certain Mavli, Sharisi Bilchaya, which was permitted through a Lechi. The thing is, the catch here of this Lechi, some people change the Girsa, but this Lechi was actually serving as a Korah.
Now we go to one to see who they did it. He was the only gola. He went up from the gola.
Okay, it had a lechi, a very thin. It means it had a very thin lechi. So its lechi was very thin. Its korah was a very thin one. So it looked like a lechi. You can't really tell what I drew here. These are the walls on the Mavli.
Which way was the lechi? Was the korah going? Across?
Yeah, across. It's very thin. Lechi means something very narrow, so it's very narrow, thick. Very narrow stick.
So it was as thin as a lechi, but it's still...
The serving is a korah, right. Okay? Does this make it clear what I'm drawing, Mr. Zur? Is it clear at all? Right. Okay? So, it says more... Gee, it's missing the last night. I can't believe it. It's missing the last night. By the way, you know how many... Did I tell you how many tapes we have so far in Yerushalmi? This is tape number 237. That means we've learned approximately 470 blot of Yerushalmi. I'm impressed. Okay? Guys, go pat yourselves on the back. Okay? That is a remarkable number. That's why you're going to chazer it over.
The tapes are for.
It's more than a quarter of the Yerushalmi. More than a quarter of the Yerushalmi. Almost not quite 30%, but we're getting there. So says the Gemara. So he saw this lechi, and going across, Yabla Chutra Va'apla. He took his stick, hit it with the stick, and threw it down. Now the Mashbiach says it wasn't on Shabbos. He was found to do it on Shabbos, but it sounds like it wasn't Shabbos. Amar le Ravuna, so Ravuna, in other words, he indicated you can't rely on that lechi. Amar Ravuna, diklokoy, wait, but there's a palm tree. It was growing over here. Besides this lechi over here, which was used as a korah, it was over here. What's the matter? Right, there was a palm tree there. It's a less. So he said, okay, so use the palm tree as a lechi. Okay?
You could use animals.
Right. So he said, if you knock down that korah, use the palm tree over here as a lechi. So he said, so Rav answered back. He says, Amarle Rav. Rav said, Einoi de Ravuna Gava. What, you think your eyes are high? Einoi de Rav Leisinun Gava, my eyes aren't high? Or do you think you can see better than I can? What do you think? I don't think I saw the palm tree. What do you think? I'm a moron? El Aredi Oiselem Mishum Koira. This Shabbos I'm telling them they're not allowed to carry in order to teach them that their koira was no good. Why is the koira no good? Because it was too weak. It was a 98-pound koira. Actually, that would probably be good. But it's very weak. It couldn't hold the brick. And since it couldn't hold the brick, so therefore I told him it's no good. The Shabbos Aboani Matilem Mishum Lechi. Next Shabbos I'll let them use the palm tree is a lechi, right?
It sounds like he did do that on Shabbos.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't sound like much better. It sounds I guess it was so wobbly that he was allowed to do it.
So it's not.
It wasn't a real couple. That was the point. No, it was very wobbly. No, something like that must be. I mean, that's why the Mashbiach obviously learns it was a weekday. But you're right. It sounds very much like it was on Shabbos. So name it. So Shabbos Habani Matur Lehen Mishum. Okay, the Shabbos Habani Matur Mishum Lechi. Next Shabbos I'll let him use the palm trees of Lechi. Shayu Yodim, they should know. Sheminata Adekel Shuasla Tauta, that they should know if there is no dekel. Right? If there were no palm tree, then it wouldn't work. In other words, otherwise, if I continue to let them carry, they won't know why I was letting carry. They won't realize that if the palm tree gets carted away, that there is no lechi. They'll forget the whole concept of Eruvin. So if I have to make it clear, this Shabbos not to carry, next Shabbos to carry. That way they'll know. Oh, it must be because of the palm tree. Okay, the East Point member, some said that really there wasn't a stick; it was a broader lechi which he knocked down, but it wasn't a. It was while it was thick, while it was broader, it still wasn't strong enough. And the low Yahavi and Savi didn't want people to oak Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda Amar that as long as it's wide, even if it's not thick, that's sufficient. To every knocked it down, that they should know that. Okay, Rabbi Chanina Lo Amar Kei. Rabbi didn't learn the Maisa like that at all. El is slightly different than Maisa. El Rab also went to a certain city. He saw that there actually had been a car, it was taken, and it was Shabbos, it was no longer there. He forbade them to carry for us to Shabbos. Rabbeinu said, there's still a palm tree there. Why are you asking for them? So Amalei, so he said again, now with the mice continues the way to before. Amalei Rav said that Einoi de Rav Huna Gava, Einoi de Rav Leisin Gava. You got good eyes and I don't got good eyes. I saw the palm tree. Again, El Areni Oslam Mishum Korah. This Shabbos I asked because they tried to rely on the Korah unsuccessfully because there is no Korah. Shabbos Aboni Matem Mishum Lechi. Next Shabbos, so let them rely on the Lechi. Shiyodim, so they should know Shiminoto Adekel that if the palm tree is taken away, she also tell them that it's forbidden to carry them. East the boy Meimah, some who said again, Lo Yun Savrin, and people shouldn't think Rabbi Yehuda. People shouldn't think Rabbi Yehuda that Rechav Ava B'Sheina Bria, that if it's wide, even though it's not thick, that's sufficient. So therefore, we wanted to demonstrate that that's not the case. Okay, now the next Gemara until the Mishnah got here by mistake. All everybody say it's nothing to do with our sugya. It's just Yerushalmi, random Gemaras sprinkled at will. Whatever poetic way you want to put that. So it says where the Ditamon is a kasha. We learn in Masech debates it says that a karpaf. Now karpaf is important in Masech debates of vis-a-vis because you can bring wood to use as fuel from a karpaf. Because it's not considered to be completely muktzah since it's something which you use somewhat, right, for storage and stuff like that. So therefore you're allowed to bring wood for fuel on yontif from a karpaf. And the Gemara asks what a karpaf is there. And the Gemara there says, anything adjacent to the city. Div Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda. And now we ask the kasha, although the kasha is not explicit here, that we see Rabbi Yehuda holds in Masechta Eruvin, although we haven't gotten there yet, that a karpaf, even if something is close to the city, it's still karpaf unless it has a well in it. So it's a kasha. What is a karpaf? It's something near the city, it's something which has a well. So I'm Raimona, kam beis dira, bebeis dira, Raimona, bebeis dira, avad la Rabbi Yehuda. In a dwelling place, I forgot what this means. Just a second. Kibbez dira avela Rabbi Yehuda. Yeah. So he says no. There's between karpaf and beitza and karpaf and Masechta Eruvin. Masechta Eruvin, what determines that something is a karpaf or not is whether people can live there or use it. And what's a valid usage for a karpaf? If humans can't live there, the valid usage is a well. Get water. A well. So if it has a well, that makes it ois karpaf and you're allowed to carry there. Vis-a-vis beitza, the parameters of karpaf are different. They don't go by beis dira, but rather they go by what's considered to be muchan, what doesn't require too much tircha to bring in on Shabbos. So that's why there the karpaf is not defined by the well in the ground, but it's defined by the proximity to the city. Okay? That's considered to be prepared from before Shabbos. Okay, and again, this is not due to the previous sugya, just came down here out of outer space and landed here. Okay, next Mishnah. Let me just get a cup of water again. Time out. Okay, halacha. Now, according to the opinion that it doesn't have to be actually strong enough, just broad enough, if it was made out of straw, out of reeds, you give it the status if it was made out of metal, and therefore, as long as it's thicker, broad enough, even if it's not strong enough. Akuma, if it was crooked, you see it if it was straight. That's you have picture number. What number is that? Good, right? Look at this if it's straight. Where straight would hold the bricks.
Looks like what's named that shul in the old city.
The churva. Agula, if it's round, roina sakil merubas. Now that means if it's round in circumference, I don't have a picture of that. If it's round in circumference, remember we said we would go by pi, right? So you see it if it's square, meaning a tefach across, right? If it's 3, and that's kirubasim yesh b'kev shlosh tefachim, if it has a circumference of 3, yesh b'rochav tefach, that it has a width of a tefach, and that suffices. Okay, it says more Lumin, it's who's our mission going like Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda Amar, Rechav Ava B'Sheina Bria. Rabbi Yehuda said if it's wide enough, even if it's not thick enough, not strong enough, that's sufficient. Akuma roina sakilu pshuta. If it's crooked, you see if it's straight. Rabbi Yachab b'shem Rabbi Zir Rabbi Yehuda said Rabbi Yachab b'shem Rabbi Zir Rabbi Yehuda he said it's going like Rabbi Yehuda. In other words, Rabbi Yehuda says it doesn't literally have to carry, has to be broad enough to carry. This is going to him as well. Rabbi Yosef, though, and the next three words are a mistake. Rabbi Yosef b'shem Rabbi Zira said, Rabbi Yosef b'shem Rabbi Zira said, Divrei HaKoli. No, everybody agrees with this. But not as it's drawn here in picture Yud, but as it's drawn in picture Yud Aleph. See picture Yud Aleph? That's a top view, not a side view. You see that?
Yud Aleph is a side view. It's coming out.
No, it's a top view. You're looking down. You're looking down.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Which way is the curve?
Towards the outside of the movie, not up.
It's
It's a top view.
Oh, I see.
Yud is a side view, and Rav is a top view. Am I not correct about that?
Yeah.
Okay. So in that case, even worse according to Rabbanan. However, only in the following condition. If the akmum is on the side, staying outside movie, and akmum is a movie. It's got to be a bend which does not impede the movie. Now, not impeding here does not mean literal sense, but in halachic sense. How does it not impede the movie? How does it not impede the kashrus of the movie? If the curve is within 3 tvachim of the movie itself, you have to be able to say lavud from the curve of the curve to the movie. It has to be within 3 tvachim, right? Shema gives him a kumumishima kevis the movie, but if it's a looking impediment to the validity of the movie, then I raise the asur, it's forbidden. Vezi akmumish, it should be, it's a typo, so the Rashba says, Vezi akmumish ainam kevis the movie. What's a akmumis which is not a movie, what doesn't impede the movie? Kosh ilu yoga ve'im ben zulusu shloisha. Even if that area where the akmumis says is more than 3 away, but let me draw my own picture. If this is the way it looks, right, this is the edge of the movie, and this is the way it looks, right? If this is less than 3 tvachim, so then I could just cut this out. And now look at it all, right? Because it's as if they're connected over here. So that's a case where the akmumis is not ma'akevis, is a movi. Why is that? Because I have enough to connect across, even without taking that into account.
Now, if it's wider and the curve is more than 3 tvachim, then it's not a good call at all, or you just can't carry beyond.
It's not a good call at all. It's interrupted. Okay? Says more further. Agula. You guys are not going to like this because it's this geometry. Agula. I'm debating whether to look at the Perush Chai to show this to you. Do you remember how many mikvos were held by the Yam Shlomo? No, much less. 150. If each mikvah is 150, is 3 amos, cubic amos. How many cubic amos did the Yam Shlomo have to be? Come on! Each mikvah is 3 cubic amos, and there are 150 mikvahs in the Yam Shlomo's contraption. How many cubic amos have to be?
3 into 150.
What?
3 into 150, which is 50.
That would be once, or then a fourth. Was it a fourth?
Oh, you guys. I failed geometry one semester.
This isn't geometry.
That's true. This is math. 3 times 150 is 450. If each mikvah is 3 cubic amos, and there are 150 mikvos in the Yam Shlomo, so it's 3 times 150. It's 450. 450 cubic amos, right? Is that clear?
Yeah.
No, so the problem is like this. So it says agula reis hakim merubas. If it's circular, look at it. If it's square. Odie Rabbi Yehuda. So first one wants to say that this is also going like Rabbi Yehuda. I mean, like Rabbanan, you don't do these rowing businesses. It has to be a square korah. You don't take a round korah and see it's insane as if it's square. But we in the Bavli, of course, passing that we do say rowing. There is no impediment to saying rowing. But again, the Yerushalmi, it seems so that it's only Rabbi Yehuda and not Rabbanan. Anyway, we learn out Minayam from the sea which Shlomo made. It says, Vayasa Sayam, Mutzak Esabamot circumference was 10 amos. Okay? Which means it's, not circumference, its diameter was 10 amos, which means its circumference is what? It's area. 2 pi r, which means the circumference was 30, right? So that's how we know that pi is 3 in halacha, because it says it was 10 amos across and 30 amos around. Okay, now the thing is, it uses the Lashon of the pasuk there, meruba. It says square. Looking where it is, maybe the... it doesn't say explicitly that it was square, but it indicates the commentator brings down the psukim indicate that it was square. So it's possible. Problematic. After Shalom or Ogo, you can't say it was round, Shekfar Ne'emar Meruba, because it says it was square. Meruba, after Shalom Meruba, you can't say it was square, Shekfar Ne'emar Ogo, because it says it was round. So how are you going to learn this? Besides that, Item or Ogo. Now this is a very big typo here, and very big typo says Item or Meruba. If you're going to say it was square, and it says that there was 500 cubic amos. Say that. No, if it was square, it doesn't say how much it was. So the Gemara says if it was square and it was 10 amos across, so that means it was 10 by 10, right? If it's square and it's 10 amos across, it means it's 10 by 10. And it was 5 amos high. That we know, it was 5 amos high. So it's 10 by 10 by 5. How many cubic amos is that? 500. How many clothes could that hold? 500 divided by 3. 166 and 2/3. Okay? So that's what the Gemara says here. In Tamar, again, a lot of typos. In Tamar Meruba, you're going to say it was taka square, 10 by 10 by 5. Nimtza Omer, so it will come out that there should be 166 and 2/3 Yodos Tara. Okay? There would actually be not 150, but 166 and 2/3. Right? Because 500 divided by 3 is 166 and 2/3. And if you're going to say Ogo, that it was all round, it was 10 by 10 by 5, but in the round, so then it comes out to be much less. How so? Because we know, we said this already in the Bavli, every circle which is inscribed in the square is 1/4 the size of the square. 3/4 the size of the square. Okay? So what's 3/4 of 500? Mr. Zuger. 4 into 500?
What's 1/4 of 500?
You tell me. 125.
125.
So what's 3/4 of 500?
So it's 375.
How many clothes can you fit into 375?
How many what?
Mikvos. Each one being 3 cubic amma.
75 divided by 4.
Right. So it's either too much or too little. If the whole Yam Shos, if the whole Yam Shos Shlomo was 500 amos and a square so if it's 500 cubic amos, so then it was 166 and 2/3 mikvos. If it was a circle, which means it was 10 diameter by 5 depth, so that means it's only 375 amos divided by 3. It's only 125 mikvos. So how do you get 150? The pasuk says 150, which is somewhere between 166 and 2/3 and 125. So I get to be 150. So it says more, I tell you. I'll do you guys a special favor, I'm not going to do the math for you. So in Tamar Ogol Nimtse so Omer that it was Kuf Chof Hey Yodos Taro 125. Haya Machzik. And more Meatos, the way we learn is that Shtei Amos El Yerinos, the top two Amos in the Yam were Agulos Hoyu, were round. And Sholosh Amos Tachtonos, the bottom three Amos Merubos. Okay, do you remember that from the Bible? You know? So the Yam Shos of Shlomo actually look like this.
In order to cause it also the time when he would see it, he would have it. The answers to
okay, it's very poorly drawn, but you get the idea. It was a circle on top of a square. Okay, so it takes off some, and that's how they made it go B150. The top two amos were round. Shosh amos tachtonos murubos. Nimtzei soimer. So you come out with me'achamishim. The other star oil, with 150 altogether. Machzik. Kosev echoroimer alpayim bas yochil. One pasuk says that the Yam Shlomo held 2,000 bas. It's a certain measure. Obviously, if it's I don't remember exactly how much it is. And Kosev echoroimer, the other pasuk says machzik batim shloshes halofim. That yochil. It says it could hold 3,000 bas. So it's contradiction. What could it hold? 2,000 or 3,000? So it says the Gemara, Yoglev Shalomar Alpaim Shekpar Nemar Shoslav. You can't say 2,000 because it says 3,000. F Shalomar Shoslav, you can say 3,000. No, Shekpar Nemar Alpaim, it already says 2,000 bas. You say so what do you have to say? Alpaim Belach Shem Shloshas Alofim Biyovish. It held 2,000, which is 3,000 if it's dry measure. Because if something's dry measure, then you can heap it across the top. And we learned this in the Bible, you can heap, if whatever you can get inside, you can get an additional 1/3 across the top. Okay? So therefore, if it holds 2,000, together with the heap on top, how much does it come out to be? 3,000. So that's why they measured the Am Shos Shlomo in dry measure, would have come out to be 1/3 more than it actually was, but instead of 500 cubic amos, it would be an additional 1/3 of that number, whatever that is. Okay? So in Amos it says more, that's why it says it holds Shlosh Alafim. Alpayim Belach, 2,000 liquid, which of course you can't heap over the top. Shlosh Alafim, which is 3,000 sour, which you can heap. Mikam of the Chachonim Boim Sabalach Shem Karam Biyovish. From here, Chacham we learned that a mikvah is 40 saw in moist measure, which is 2 core, an additional 1/3 in dry measure. Okay, halachavav. L'chaim shom l'chaim they said, which go at the front of a chotzer or a mobi. Govan asar tvarim they must eat 10 fachim high. Rachman Avion Koshe. Their width and their thickness can be infinitesimally small. No shiur. Rabbi Yosef Merachov and Shlosh Tefachim, they have to be 3 Tefachim wide. Now the Gemara says something very strange, and all the Achronim point out the Gemara itself held not this way back in Halacha base. Well, the Gemara first tried to say tremendous kula. When did Tanakam Rabbi Yossi argue whether the lech is before Tvachim or not when it's distant from your wall? I skipped. I didn't put. When Rabbi Yossi say you have to, in other words, here you have your marvel. If they're not next to the corners, then, says Gemara, this has to be 3 Tvachim, and this has to be 3 Tvachim. If these are next to the corners, then we don't need 3 Tvachim, because what would you say then?
If they're next to the corners? All you need is an infinitesimal lechi.
But why? The truth is, I don't know why I expect you to know this. I want them to know this less like them farshim either. But because they hold that the problem is the Rabbi Yossi, according to this interpretation of Rabbi Yossi, the problem is that you have oimer rubel aparos. You have too much standing too much open space over a standing structure. So that's only a problem if the l'chayim are not adjacent to the walls, because you have to connect them to the walls via an open air space. So the only way to do that, says Rabbi Yosef, is the l'chayim are choshev enough that they themselves are 3 tfachim. Then you can connect them over the airspace, despite the airspace, to the walls. But if they're next to the walls, I don't need that, because by definition they're next to the walls. I don't have to connect them. They are there, right? So it's only where I have to overcome a gap like this that the lechi has to be 3 tvachim. Otherwise, it could be a mashu. Okay? Again, so the Lieberman and the Reb Chaim Kanevsky, they both say that this is not the way the Gemara actually holds, because the halacha base sound like Rabbi Yossi holds that even if the l'chaim are mamish right next to the wall, you still need 3 tvachim. So the next brayso, which seems to be a proof, is not a proof, and it's obvious when you read the Lashon brayso itself. Don't prove nothing. So it says more. Tani came. We also into the brayso. If you made lechis for your mavli, as long as they're less than 3 tvachim above the ground. As long as they're within 3 tvachim of the wall, mutter, then it's permissible. So of course, no raya from here where Rabbi Yossi holds. You wanted to say Rabbi Yossi, even Rabbi Yossi's mekel, where the l'chayim are mamish adjacent to the wall. Fine, this Bryce is not a riot to that, because this Bryce is not discussing Rabbi Yossi. Who's it discussing? Rabbana. So it's not clear why the Gemara brings down this Bryce here out of nowhere. It doesn't prove anything, but we will not necessarily deal with that this evening. Now we're not necessarily deal with it. We will not deal with it. Says Gemara further. Shlosh. Abushia Aymed Rab al Chalo. Shlosh Abushia Aymed Rab al Chalo. Rabbi Yossi say you need l'chayim a 3 tvachim. Also holds you need more standing structure than free space in the opening of your room. You know, this has got to cover most of the opening of the moment. Okay? Now, we don't pass like him, but let's talk about the other shita. This is the next picture. Picture number Yudalef. If you have stones which zigzag out of a wall, see picture number Yudalef, Mr. Zuger? You have this first page twice.
Oh, yeah.
So those are called the lechi. Niyonka lechi. They count as a lechi. Koitzel nichnas v'nira v'kepas b'ivnim v'sham mechutz. A koitzel which goes in. That's like picture number your base. It goes in. It looks like like a lechi from the inside. From the outside, it just looks like a wall. Nonetheless, that's sufficient. That's good. Oshnir kepas v'chutz v'sham v'nim, or vice versa, the opposite case.
Until now, he was close road.
That's this.
Outside,
This is.
like a wall on the inside. Yeah.
Yeah, case number Yudalid, right. Case number where it goes the outside. That's good. Nidayin l'chaim, that's a valid lechi. Hoya mosh moshuch. If it's like this, like tezvav. Because it doesn't actually jut out, it narrows at the end of it. So you see tezvav and narrows at the end. Haya mashuch goes long but narrows. Abba baravuna amar rowing kilu hu konus. So you look at it as if it goes in, meaning a same like picture Yud Gimel, and that's okay. Okay. We do. Yeah. As long as it's recognizable. As long as it's seen as a distinct feature. Actually, I don't know if that's true. I take it back. I don't think we pass that way. I think, if I recall correctly, we don't pass them that way.
Because from the side,
there's no hecker.
There's
no hecker. Right. You're right. We don't pass that way. How could that work? Didn't we learn? If you have a large courtyard which is open to a small courtyard, that's a small courtyard, and that's your large courtyard. Okay? Large courtyard is open to a small courtyard. So the large courtyard is allowed to carry because they have smack dab in front of them these luchayim, which remind not to carry further. Kitana, however, the small one, asura. This one can't carry it all because it has nothing to remind it. But according to your line of reasoning that this works, picture it as vav, so this should work as well. It's true that they don't see the l'chaim, but the l'chaim are there. They go beyond on either side. So why does that not work? So it says more Amar Lei again. V'yasu kosek the l'chaim etzel kosek kan. According to the line of reasoning, you just said that that's good. So let's say that the ksolim of the outer one become the ksolim of the inner one, right? So it says Tani Rabbi Shein, Kumi Rabbi Yacha. That's good. So these walls are more than 10. And for reasons which are somewhat obscure, when these walls are more than 10, they can't serve as l'chayim. It's not clear exactly why. But then already they can't serve as l'chayim, and therefore the small chotzer can't carry into the big chotzer. Okay?
Isn't there a maximum shiur of a lechi?
Yeah, usually it's 4 amos. Question is why here it's 10. There are different interpretations. Lieberman gives a parish, Reb Chaim Kanievsky gives a parish, but they don't satisfy.
Because here it's obviously a wall. It's not a lechi.
Something like that. That's great. Right. Okay, Rabbi, I tell you the truth. That's all. That's all, folks. I only got up to here in preparing, so I could forge blindly ahead, but I think silence is the better part of valor here. So we will start from here again on Amir Tzashem, either Wednesday, August 12th, or Thursday, August 13th. Okay, how many weeks are you missing, Dovs?
I'll be missing 2 weeks. 17th or 30th.